1,371 divided by, well, I'll get to that in a moment as we continue through the SPY-T challenge. With low volatility continuing into February, it certainly was a tough month. However, I did beat that 25%. Again, we had a lot of neutral days, and believe it or not, the last 2 days of the month were zero confidence days. Yeah, the confidence number was 0. In other words, really expressing that lack of volatility. However, because I was using IWM, although it didn't always match the direction of SPY, that additional volatility helped me really minimize any losses because I could follow puts up or down or calls up or down. So if the market pressure said up the night before and it went down, I could sell the put for a profit, and quite often I was able to follow the call back up to make money or at least minimize the loss greatly. I was trading IWM with a SPY-TBT trade most of the time, and because of that, I was really able to minimize my losses. There are a few more losses than I would have liked, but quite honestly, they were rarely over, say, $20. I think the worst was $30. Yet, because I was using the SPY-TBT trade, my wins were solid, and that's what got me through the month. My last video covered a month from around January to February 8th, and I had gained just under 7%. However, I decided for future videos, I would just go from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. But I'll show you the results of both from about February 8th to the end of the month and from the 1st until the end of the month. I ended the month at 1371, and if you divide where I was on February 1st at 913, well, that leaves us with a 50.1% gain. If we just cover the 3 weeks from my last video, it looks like this. 1371 divided by 1062, which is a 29% gain. Either one is just fine for me. I started this year's SPY-T challenge with $1,000, and I'm up 37% in the first 2 months. Last fall, once I realized the purple algorithms were really working well, I decided to take a small account that had about $380 in it to see how far I could take it. Since then, well, as you can see, I'm now up to $1,371 just since September. Now, there was a point in which I added about $100 to the account to even it out at $1,000 to start the year, kind of at an even number. That number obviously being 1,000. And one tiny little bit of disclosure, I said I wouldn't do any day trading, and I haven't, except for one time I did try to make something up and I lost another $20, and I put the $20 back because it wasn't part of the regularly scheduled trading. So it only happened once, I replaced it, now you know, out of that, $20 was put back into the account. And I always lose day trading. I am glad that I did trade the IWM versus the SPY and using the SPY-TBT trade versus going directional. Because I think if I had traded SPY directional, I probably would not have had a very good month. And of course, that's why we created the SPY-T trading strategies, such as the SPY-TA, SPY-TB, SPY-TC, SPY-TD, SPY-TQ. And what I've been using is a form of the SPY-TB trade, which is referred to as the SPY-TBT trade, which is buying a call generally just in the money and a put 1/3 the price, assuming the signal said up. Although there are a lot of neutral days and certainly some wrong days, I don't feel so bad about most of the wrong days because there was generally a good reason for it. Some sort of economic report or earnings, something that truly did flip the market the opposite direction. And a lot of people were just pointed one way and the market flipped, and there's nothing you can do about it when you're competing against news, because, well, that's why it's news. But having the advantage of understanding what the pressure is at the end of the trading day still gives me an advantage over the long term. I also paid much better attention to those neutral days and certainly those low confidence days, especially the 0 days. I didn't risk very much, which of course saved me in the long term. But there's something that I've noticed about those neutral days that I think is really important. If you look through all the neutral days over the last number of months over at spytomorrow.com, you may notice a trend that most of those neutral days started up. I think it's something like 14 out of 16 of the ones that I looked at were up days. Now, that may have something to do with the trend of the market because the pressure wasn't very strong and so it just went with the trend. I don't know. But the point is, I'm making note going forward. And if I see a neutral day, I just may automatically lean upwards no matter what the other algorithms say. Remember, SpyT trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's about growing your portfolio over time with an aggressive method of trading, and you're going to have ups or downs. I'll guarantee you one thing, we're going to have some down months. I'll also guarantee you I'll have at least 100% month over the rest of the year. I've seen it many times before, but you have to look at it over a week, over a month, and as we're doing here, over a year. And I'll see you in the next video.